What's up all you Flux Automators, and welcome back to another video on the Flux Automate channel. And in this one I'm going to be talking about the Insta360 X5. Now this has been blown up as one of the greatest cameras that has released to the market. I have my own opinions on this, so in this video I'm going to take on a little journey because I'm going to show you how you could use it in certain environments. I'm not going to go too extreme, but what I'm going to do is just break down some of the basics, and then I'm going to come back and give you my thoughts and opinions, which are wrapped up in the pros and cons, and then we're going to get a conclusion, and then hopefully you'll be in a position to figure out if you should spend your hard-earned money on this or save it. And I think there's something coming in the future that you might want to hang on for. But anyway, let's get into the video and let me break it down for you. So here it is, the Insta360 X5, and obviously the fifth iteration of this camera. And it's not just about the looks of the physical, it's what it can produce for you. This camera can do so many different things and get you shots that you couldn't get on any other camera. Now, my first introduction into the 360 world was when I purchased the X3, and at the time it didn't really perform as well as I thought it could or should, but now I'm wondering, can the X5 do that for me? Now, this has been dubbed as the 8K beast. Now, my thoughts and opinions on that, differ a little bit from what they're telling us to what is the real reality of it. But what I want to do before I get into all that, I'm going to just take you out in the field and just show you how this camera works and what you can do with it. But then also I'm going to show you some side-by-side comparisons compared to the Pocket 3 and the Action 5 Pro from DJI. Now, one of the main reasons that people purchase a 360 camera is the ease of use. You just start to record, point and shoot wherever, and then later on you can come back and do all your editing. And the best thing about this, the high quality that you are getting from this camera enables you to do all those type of things. Now, being able to just point a camera in a direction or a far distance and then come back later on and lock into a specific part of that video is really cool, because you could be getting the front and the back and you can switch back and forth as you want. Also, you can get the sides and up above and down below, so you're getting that 360-degree world. Now, because of the style of this camera and it's recording in 360, you can put it in places that you might find it hard to use a conventional camera. So you can put it in nooks and crannies, you can put it between rocks, you can put it over the side of a cliff, for example, holding on to a long selfie stick. So you can get all those type of shots that you can get from a drone, but not necessarily the same as a drone, but you can get that type of effect. You can also put it in directions that are easy and out of reach. You can put it through holes and then put it back out. You can put it in tight spaces, so rather than trying to climb through there, or it might be too small, you can put the camera through and bring it back and you get some really impressive shots. Now, the menu on this camera is really good, really simple and easy. Kind of looks like you'll get with a DJI camera, but this is Insta360's version of it. But to be honest, it's really easy, has everything in the right places, and it's easily accessible. And you have a load of settings, some of them that you need to use, some of them you won't need to use, but it's always good to have all those settings at your fingertips. Now, with the selfie stick, I gotta say, extending that selfie stick and having it look like you're not even holding anything is a great thing, especially if you're doing any filming by yourself and you don't have anybody to hold your camera while you're walking. You could just extend that and just hold it in a particular way that it doesn't bring any attention to the fact that you're actually holding something in your hand. So I think that is really great and is easy for anybody to use. You can also get shots from behind you, in front of you, above you, to the side of you, and even down at your feet if you're doing any reviews on sneakers or anything like that. Now, outside of the camera itself, on the Insta360 phone app, there is a AI editor. Now, this AI editor has its pros and its cons, but if you just want the software just to do a quick edit for you to throw it up on Instagram, it's really worth checking out. Just one click of a button, it'll do all the work for you, export the video, and you're ready to roll. So if you're liking the content on the channel and you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Subscribe, man, so I can keep you up to date with all the new tech stuff that's coming out. And you can maybe save some money by not buying some of the weak stuff that's out there. Now, the audio quality on the X5 has been improved because now we have these wind guards on the front, and also on the side it has been improved quite a bit. Now, if you're using the microphones on the side of the device, you might still need to get some of those sponge type wind guards to go on there, but you can just select just to use these microphones that don't pick up any of the wind because of the wind guard on it. So I think that is a great addition. So now I'm testing the microphone of the three cameras. So we got the X5, we got Action 5 Pro, and we have the Pocket 3. So I'm just walking along, not too noisy right now. Right now we're on the lowest noise reduction on the X5, and we're moving up to the next level because we have 2 options on it. So we'll walk a little bit more, just test out. So there's about 3 or 4 cars coming up to me now, and I wonder how well it's working. Let's switch out from the minor noise reduction. We have a little bit of machinery in the side over there. So let's move into more noise reduction. So now we're in noise reduction strong. There is a big truck coming towards me. So let's see how much that helps. Can you hear me? Testing, testing. So a few more vehicles driving past, and hopefully this should be helping. It's just a test to see how well the noise reduction sounds. Big truck coming past me right now, so that's a good test to see how well it works, how good the sound is, and is this something that you want to add into your day-to-day recordings. Now overall, the audio is quite good and it's comparable to some of the other portable small devices that are out there in the market, so you shouldn't have any problems with using this when you're out and about. Maybe when you're in noisy environments, you may need to use the noise reduction on there, but you know, you're taking a hit in terms of the quality. But when you're in an environment that isn't too noisy, you know, this works really well. Now moving on to another area is this screen. It is really bright and works really well. So you can easily use it in portrait, but if you want to use your camera in landscape, which is something that I prefer to use, you can just turn it sideways like this and then tilt it. And here we go. We've got landscape. So now you can record this way rather than that way. Now, one of the great things about using it in landscape is if you're using the camera with just a forward-facing lens, you can make sure you're capturing everything you need so you don't have to then go in and crop out anything later on down the line. Now, when it comes to charging times on this camera, this is comparable to all the others out there. Works really well and charges really fast. Now, you can get 0 to 80% in 20 minutes. Compared to the Pocket 3, it just takes 16 minutes, and then the Action 5 Pro from DJI, which takes 23 minutes. Now, if you're going from 0 to 100, it takes 35 minutes compared to the Pocket 3, which is 32, and then the Osmo Action 5 Pro, which takes 53. And making sure you have access to this camera and can record it anytime is great when you can charge 80% in 20 minutes and a full charge in 30 minutes or 32 minutes. So now moving on to the cons. And this is where things start to outweigh. Now, one of the main cons I have about this is the complexity of the software. Not the software on the device itself, but the software that you get on the phone app and the computer app. To me, there's too much selection in there. Now, it would be great if they give you the ability to toggle from a novice to a professional, for example. That would be great, but they don't have that. So you have many settings and types of things that you can do on the phone app, which is kind of split into 2 halves, which makes it even more complicated. And then same goes with the computer app as well. You have 2 different ways of editing. Now, when we're talking about editing outside of this camera, it's going to take you quite a while to edit and get all the right settings going exactly how you want them, because you're going to have to learn a new system, and there's many different settings within there. So take your time. If you're really invested into it, you need to take that time to figure out how to make the most of it. Now, when it comes to the phone app, I gotta say it does some things that I really, really like. Now, you could record something in 360, then go back into it later on, and you can record the positioning of where the angle of that camera is looking. I think that's very, very useful and something that I would use at all times. But the only thing with that, you can do that on the phone app, but on the computer app, for some reason, you don't have the ability to do that. So Insta360, if you're out there and you're listening, just add that functionality in. We don't have to be moving the laptop all over the place, but we could just be using the mouse to direct what's on the screen. Now, when it comes to transferring the files from the Insta360 to your computer, it does take a while. And one of the main reasons it does take a while is because of those large file sizes, which I'll talk to you about more in just a moment. But even then, you're gonna have to do some editing on the computer. Then if you're gonna use any other software, such as Final Cut Pro, you're gonna have to bring it in there and then do some editing as well. It's gonna add a lot more time to your workflow, but all depends on what you want to achieve in the end. If you want that wow factor, or you want to be able to pick up things that you would never be able to pick up with a traditional camera, then this might be the one that you need to be using. Now let's move on to that 8K. Now, the 8K is, so at this point, it's time to get serious. Now this is the 5th generation of the Insta360, and I gotta say, the low light performance is still not up to par. Yes, every year it is improving, but compared to the other devices out there on the market, it's still not hitting where it should be. Now, as you look at it right now, once it is small and it's compact, so say for instance, if you're having this displayed on a mobile phone, it's gonna look great. It's gonna look okay on a tablet. But once you put it on a 50, 60, 70-inch screen, that's where the issues lie. So as I've said, the sensor size has increased, but when it's a 1/1.28 compared to a 1-inch, there's no comparison. Why in 2025 haven't they stepped up to that 1-inch yet? When you have the Pocket 3 out here, that is the #1 selling product right now from DJI when it comes to portable cameras, are killing it. They know what the formula is, but still Insta360 still stagger behind. So yet again, another year where I thought it's time for me to get Insta360, and once again, they've let me down. So keeping this may not be an option. Well, it won't be an option for using it in low light because I really don't like the look of what I'm getting out of it. You know, you can still use this in the daytime and still get really great shots if you're posting it to Instagram or you're viewing it on your tablet or something like that. Once you get to large screen TV size, that's when you're gonna start seeing the issues. Now, a lot of the reviewers on YouTube have shown this and it looks really great, but I think they've dialed in, got the exact lighting. If you check all the videos that they've put out there, most likely there's really bright sun outside, and most likely they've been provided or they've taken time to get the settings bang on for each situation, whereas a normal user is just gonna go out there and shoot, come back, and the final product might not be what you expected. On these cameras, we have something called a log profile. Now, on the Insta360, they call it iLog. On DJI, they call it D-Log. And then on other cameras, they call it log or S-Log. But what they're set there to do is to give you a flat looking image, which then you can go in and do a lot of editing to get the video looking exactly how you like it. And then you can compare it or match it with another piece of content so it doesn't look out of place. Now, the issue you're gonna find with the X5 is that if you're recording in 8K, you cannot record in iLog. If you want to record in iLog, you have to take it down to 5.7K, but you might be thinking to yourself, well, that's okay because I usually record in 4K. But when you start doing things like cropping in and flattening the image, then you're going to find out that you're not going to have that same definition or that depth of clarity in your videos. So that's when you're going to think to yourself, am I going to be using this as a 360 camera with that fisheye look to get the most top quality video out of this camera? So it's sad that, you know, you're bumping this up to 8K, but then you're not going to get the flat profile. If you want to get the flat profile, which is good for comparing it to with the other videos, you're gonna have to come down to 5.7K, which then you're gonna crop in. So there's a whole load of things that you're gonna have to consider before you even start to shoot about what you're gonna do with that content after it. But with any 360 camera like this, there's no way that you are going to not be in a position that potentially you could damage it, and it's going to be really easy to damage. Main reason being is because your lenses that need to stay nice and clear and scratch free are exposed at all times. Now, when you get the basic kit, you're going to find that you get a little case. Now, Insta360 have been bragging or getting other creators to brag about how great it is that they have removable lenses. I got to give thumbs up to Insta360 for creating those, but then I'm going to give them a thumbs down, mainly because if they know this is easy to damage, why didn't they put a set in the box for the front and the back? With the cost of this device, I think that's something that they should be putting in to support their consumers. In addition to that, what you can do, you can go out and purchase these lenses. Now, you would think if you drop this camera at high speed or you're doing anything, most likely it's gonna roll onto different sides, which means that you're most likely gonna scratch both lenses and you're gonna have to replace them. What Insta360 have decided to do is sell them separately. So it's gonna cost you $35 just for one lens. If the other lens is changing as well, that's another $35. So in all, you're spending $70 to replace the lenses. Why wouldn't they just put it in the package and call it $50 for both of them? I don't know why they would do that to their consumers. I'm assuming it's a little bit of a money grab, but come on, Insta360, do better than that. Give us some free lens replacements in your packages. Now, when it comes to the battery life of this device, you can get 60 to 75 minutes of battery life if you are filming at 5.7K at 60 frames per second. Now, if you compare that to the Pocket 3, you're getting 115 minutes. And in the Action 5 Pro, you are getting 95 to 100 minutes at 4K 60. So in all, I'm gonna say that's not a bad thing, but you've really got to consider to yourself, if you are filming for that longer period of time, because the files are so big, you're gonna have to make sure you get a decent sized memory card to put in this, because it's probably gonna take up all the space if you have something really small. And there's nothing worse than thinking that you caught the action to find out that your memory card was full. Okay, another thing, this thing gets hot. Now, I haven't seen it overheat, and to protect itself from overheating, the screen will turn off. But if you need that screen on at all times, most likely it's gonna overheat, or it's gonna get to the point where it actually switches off. Now, other devices such as the Pocket 3 and the Action 5 Pro, they have the ability to overheat. I haven't seen too much overheating of those devices, but I haven't been recording for longer periods of time, apart from the Pocket 3, which I know most of the time, as long as it's not a hot environment, I can just click that, leave it, for how many hours, come back, and it's still working and still running and capturing my footage. But with the X5, I can't say I would trust it, not until I've done more rigorous testing. Now, the price of this device, I gotta say, is quite expensive for what it is. I guess because it's a niche device and there aren't too many competitors out there right now, Insta360 can push up that price and have had it up there for a while. If you want to get the X4, you're going to get it cheaper. But one of the main things that you might be thinking about getting this one is because it has better low light and also better quality video, better audio, and an overall better package. So paying that premium for this is okay right now, but I'll have my eye out for something that's probably going to come near the end of this year, maybe the beginning of the next. But if you need something like this right now, this is going to be the best device on the market. Now, going back to the applications on the phone and the desktop, as I said earlier on, they are overcomplicated. There are some pros because you have everything in there that you can access and use. But for myself that uses editing software all the time, I think it's too much. I really think that what's on your phone should be the same that's on the computer, but the computer should have some additional settings and tools in there to enable you to make better videos. It seems like the phone app works better than the computer app, but then the computer app has a few things that allow you to make things a little bit easier when exporting it into another program such as Final Cut Pro. Now, last but not least, is a kind of con, but I don't think they can get around that. But that's the fact that you can't put any filters on this. So you are going to have to let the camera do some work for you in terms of making sure that things are not overexposed. But from what I've seen so far using this, I haven't had any problems with overexposure. There are certain things that are going on in the background on this camera that you have to leave it on auto to make sure you are getting that great video. But for what it is, it does its thing. So now we'll come to the end of this video with the Insta360 X5. But in my experience, if this is something that you can add into your production that you have already, if you have a DSLR camera already or another type of camera that you're using and you want some content to add more of an exciting type of experience in your videos, this will be a great tool to use. But if you're just gonna buy this just as your only camera, I've got to say, don't do it. Don't do it. Just understand you are going to have some limitations. Not to say that you couldn't use this all day, every day and get the most out of it and still create some impressive videos, but you're just going to be aware of those points that I've highlighted to you in this video in regards to what you can't do with it or what the downsides are. So I'm going to wrap this up with a marks out of 10, and I'm going to give this a solid 7.5. Now I'm jumping back into this from the future to tell you my marks out of 10. I did record this originally, but I've had to come back because I've spent more time with the device, and I found one of the areas that's really pulling this down is the low light performance. At one point I did have this at 7.5 points out of 10, but now I've had to come way down. After actually studying the quality of the video in low light, and also not in those low light situations. All this talk about 8K, it's not really 8K. I'm gonna provide you with a link in the description to someone who's gonna break it down exactly and tell you what Insta360 are actually doing. And as much as they say it's 8K, you're not really gonna get 8K. So for that reason, I'm giving this a 5, maybe stretching a 5.5 out of 10. Now for the main reasons, if they improve the computer and the phone app, I will give this probably another mark and a half, because there's nothing really wrong with the actual device itself. It works very well, apart from not being able to record iLog at 8K. Other than that, there's no other problems. I gotta say, it's all down to the software on the mobile phone and on the computer app, which take this down a notch. So if this is something that you think you could add to your arsenal of tools, make sure you use that link in the description, because it helps out the channel so I can buy more kit. And in return, I can review more products like this to help you make that decision if you should save your money or if you should purchase it and make the most of it. But in the meantime, thanks for checking out the channel, and I will see you in my next brilliant review. So for now, peace.